Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, everybody. Those that are, for the benefit of those that are joining this channel, I will reiterate one of the purposes and objectives of setting up this channel. It is to save our history and also interpret world history from the right perspectives, because the way history is viewed currently, some groups are marginalized. And among those groups that are marginalized are the Igbo people. So, we are rejected, but we shouldn't reject ourselves. We have to say who we are, and we have to look at history as it pertains to us. People that are familiar with Nigeria will know that last week, the country was agog with news about one of the princes of the country, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, former military president. The country was agog because he launched his biography. And as you may all know, there is something that goes on in Nigeria which I have likened to a book I read when I was a young man. 1 week, one trouble. There is hardly any week that passes without the Igbos being in the news. The Yorubas are never in the news. The Fulanis are never in the news. The Hausa are never in the news. It's always the Igbos. And if you are familiar with world history, the Jews are always in the news. The state of Israel is always in the news. So, as a scholar, as a Jewish studies scholar, I'm not surprised that Igbos are always in the news. And the news this time was that Babangida, one of the princes of Nigeria, removed a false blood libel placed on the neck of the Igbos. Millions of Igbos were murdered because Nigerians alleged falsely that Igbos conspired and killed the leadership of other Nigerian groups. The implication of this was that all Igbos, men, women, children, even infants in the womb, came together, held a meeting and agreed, let us kill everybody. And for this, Nigerians decided to kill every Igbo in the world. But God saved the Igbo people. I believe in God. Those that don't believe in God should handle their issues. If God was not in charge, there will be no surviving Igbo. But the Igbos are wounded. The Igbos are broken. The Igbos have been destroyed because this blood libel has been there and it has been used to justify the continuous persecution of these people. A lot of good people, a lot of people of goodwill have come out and said, this did not happen. Barrister Michael Zekome, not an Igbo man, said it's a lie from the pit of hell to say that the Igbos carried out any coup that was designed to eliminate the leadership of the others. That it didn't happen. He listed the names of all the coup plotters. He listed 21. There were only 7. There were 5 Yorubas in his list. There were over 15 people. There were over 10 people from northern Nigeria in that list. But it was necessary for a person of extreme weight to come out and say the truth. And Babangida came out over the weekend, or before the weekend, and said the truth. He said, if this was an Igbo coup, why would an Igbo army officer kill a senior Igbo army officer in front of the pregnant wife? It was not an Igbo coup. The people needed a justification to destroy these people. And they all but succeeded, but God said no, that there will be a remnant. But that remnant is wounded. Even though my brothers and sisters are dancing on Facebook, I think they dance because so this blood libel has hung on the neck of the Igbos until General Babangida came out and said, enough is enough. Then I decided to write a story, to write this story so that it will be in history. That Babangida was not unkind to the Igbo people. I began to think about this man's stay in power. He did some things that that indicated that he would do the kind of thing he did. I will talk about his activities as it pertained to me. He made Asaba one of the state capitals, Asaba, was where our people were killed like flies. And because he took a wife from there. At the time, our women were prized. Everybody wanted Igbo women. And apparently the one he took was so honorable that Babangida ended up loving the people, and they have proof that he loved the people. Because if you love a woman, you love the family. And as you all know, Miriam Babangida was dignity itself. She was filled with dignity. She was one of the most beautiful women in Nigeria, and she was so regal, and Babangida loved her. General Ike Nwachukwu, he's still alive. He told me that when he took a decision to help the state of Israel by moving for Nigeria as the foreign affairs minister, to bring together Israel and Nigeria again. Remember in 1973, Nigeria cut ties with Israel over the Arab-Israeli War of 1973. And Israel was in the cold, without friends. This son of the Igbos became foreign minister. He said, what can I do for these my brothers in the cold? For these my brothers and sisters, he decided to try to use his position as foreign affairs minister to re-establish ties between Israel and Nigeria as a way of helping Israel. He told me this from his own mouth. He said when he took the issue to his boss, General Babangida, that Babangida listened to him with kindness. I remember this today. And one of my good friends, one of those I would call a friend of the Igbos, but he could be a relation. He's from the great Idoma people, and I think that the Idoma are the children of Edom, the children of Esau, the elder brother of Jacob, Israel. If this is correct, it means they are our elder brothers, or our twin brothers. He wrote, yes, that is actually the thin rope that has kept IBB for all these years. The restoration of relationship with Israel, but for the rest of his sins, we are washing his progenitors. And then I explained why Babangida re-established ties with Israel. The Igbo people say that you cannot, a particular man said, you cannot get my daughter without settling me. Babangida loved Israel, or rather did the state of Israel of a favor because Babangida loved the Igbos. And I wrote out my response. I said, Chief Samson Oche, I think your comment is extremely important and deserves a thoughtful response. Frankly, I was thinking about some of what you wrote a few hours ago, but my thoughts were more expansive than yours. I'll bet that when you think of, quote, Israel, what you think of doesn't include the over 50 million Israelites that have ties to Nigeria and the Igbo people. Even though you know and you do acknowledge publicly that the Igbo people are Israelites, you think just of the state of Israel, the Ashkenazi Sephardim Mizrahi Jews. This is understandable because of the way history, quote, and culture have been constructed in the world. That is why I said, if you are pushing me away from what is my heritage, I will say no. If the Igbos are not Israelites, who are Israelites? Growing up, we all know about the Igbos with Ntiosu. I will digress. The Lord God of Israel, Chukwu, told the Israelites, if somebody is your slave for 7 years, and he refuses to go at the 7th year, take an awl, cut into his ear. Growing up, we all know the Igbos that their ears were cut, and we call them Ntiosu. Yeah, we know there are Revrav. We know that there are people who are not Israelites that have forced themselves into the Igbo stock, who are denying our heritage because they are our enemies. But the normal people will continue saying the truth. I was thinking that Babangida was not cruel to the Igbo people, as many others have been, and by a Muslim, removing the false blood libel hung on the neck of the Igbos. something others have refused to do, I was reminded of the King Cyrus that was kind to the Israelites and had allowed them to return home to rebuild their temple. Babangida didn't disallow restoration of ties between Nigeria and Israel because he didn't hate the Igbo people. Also, it was an Igbo general, Ikem Wachukwu, who masterminded the project. He told me this directly. This is the full story. If Babangida had not liked the Igbo people, he would definitely not have listened to Ikem Wachukwu when he brought up the matter. And here, I say, it can only be up for the Igbo people. And I'm assuring Nigerians and the world, if it is good for the Igbos, it will be good for everybody. These people are a good people. They are a good people. Give them a chance. Stop the persecution. Thank you.